Maybe we'll save it for the Christmas special. We're having a Frackulous Christmas special, right?
Welcome to Frackulous, a technology podcast for humans. Episode 328 Part 1. Portable CD players, returning yet more things to the Apple Store and iPhone 7.
Shall we start?
Let's start. I'm in a very good mood. I'm very excited. Ask me anything.
So should we start with follow-up?
Yes, let's.
Okay, so jumping into follow-up.
Hello.
First thing, remember Photoshop Touch, David?
Yes, I do.
It's not available anymore.
I know it's not.
That's why I couldn't find
what
it.
happened there? Apparently, Adobe dumped it last year, just before they released this new load of apps. When I found that out, I did try to send it to you as a gift. And obviously, you can't find it on the App Store anymore, so I went into my phones and purchased apps.
Yep.
And it wouldn't open up the App Store, even the old reference page, so I couldn't send it to you as a gift.
Right.
Sorry
I
about that.
see. No, because that's partly why I have so many apps on my phone. Is if you then delete something, you can't always get it back.
This is true.
It depends how the developer has removed it from the store, whether you can still download it or not.
Mm.
And I think you can back them up to iTunes yourself, but...
Right.
So Photoshop Touch no longer available. Other Adobe apps, for what I want to do, not as good.
All you wanted to do, if I remember, was just to blur out.
But I wanted to. What I wanted to do was use a box rather than use my finger to actually draw. I wanted to just make a square or rectangular box, so it nicely covered it.
Sounds very, very simple.
It does, and it should. Any app should surely have this: draw a square, draw a rectangle, make that blurred. But so far, the only ones I can find, you have to actually use your finger, and you end up with a rather messy border on the box, which I don't like.
I know a man who will know how to do this.
Who's that?
And as much as I respect our collective Frackulous app talent, there is one man who I know for any arts or video or image apps. He is the man. He's called Mark Settle. He works for the BBC. Used to be called the College of Journalism. He's the guy who trains the BBC's journalists to use smartphones properly for news gathering.
Okay.
I bet you he will be able to tell us actually, depending on whether he's got his phone in his face or not, but he will know just the app to do that.
Could you live tweet him now, and then...
Shall I do that? Okay.
Whilst David does that, I'm going to tell my Catherine Parkinson anecdote.
So next bit of follow-up. Jeff, you saw someone using a Discman on the tube.
Oh my God, it was like 1996 again. Actually, I worked this out. I got on a train. I was in Lewisham
in 1996.
I was in Lewisham in South East London. But it was a bit of an odd guy because he was he was sort of carrying carrier bags, but old Sainsbury's carrier bags. He clearly hadn't just been shopping. He looked like the sort of man that had been carrying these carrier bags around for 5 years to just carry his general possessions in.
Yeah. And
he did that thing when you're on train seats, where instead of sitting across from you, he sat next to me, and I'm thinking that's a bit weird.
Nice and close.
To, a little bit too close. And then he produced from one of his carrier bags a Sony Discman, like a circular thing, and sort of placed it on the seat in front of him. From another one of his carrier bags, he produced a pile of CDs. And I'm like, no way! And he sort of meticulously flicked through them, chose one, slotted it in, put on some headphones, not earbuds, but headphones with like those foamy discs on the outside, that you would have got from the 1980s.
With the silver metal band.
Yeah, and proceeded to listen to music on a CD Walkman. And I'm judging him always until Sunday, and then I sort of relented and thought, actually, that's quite beautiful. And I really wanted to have a go of his Walkman and his Sony Discman and be like, oh, I used to have one of these.
As long as you're happy with 90 minutes from 4 AA batteries, that's fine.
It was, I sat there and I thought, I had one. I used to have one in my car. I remember this, and I then got the cassette adapter.
Yeah.
You plugged the headphone jack out of the Discman into the cassette slot on your car hi-fi, and that's how I used to listen to music in the late 1990s.
I remember it drastically improved my driving, because if you went too fast or too bumpy, it would skip. So you had to drive smoothly like you had an unrestrained baby in the car.
So you're saying that MP3 and DAB made you a less safe driver?
Ruined my driving. But when I had the CD player, Absolutely smooth.
So it made me want to ask on the podcast to our listeners, what is the oldest piece of technology that people are still out there using? Because there's people that still use their VHS video recorders, right? They still have tapes on their shelves.
Yeah.
Mine's in
so
the
it needs
loft.
to be stuff they're using day to day or every week or something, not something they get out every now and then for a nostalgia trip.
Yeah,
well, actually, one of mine, which I'll be bringing up later, is this pair of headphones. I think these are getting over 10 years old.
Really?
So, yeah, but we'll cover that later.
I've got a pair here.
Yeah. But also, it could be something like hey, I've still got like a microwave that I bought in 1993, and it's over. Like, is it what? It's got to be electronic or electrical and still in regular use. I'd love to know what the oldest piece of equipment is that people are still using.
Yeah, good question.
That would be cool. Yeah.
So people can email hello@frackulous.com or just tweet us, which seems to be the best way of getting hold of us anyway. More follow-up. So remember, I had a problem getting rid of Siri in a nice way.
Yes.
Ian Rutson at ParkRunnian on Twitter, he said, all you have to say is say bye-bye. And that works. I don't know why I didn't think it. I think I was trying to say goodbye. Goodbye wasn't working. Bye-bye. She does sulk off sometimes, but that will get rid of Siri without you having to be rude.
But another bit of feedback was asking for directions.
Yes.
Anything involving Oxford, Lincoln.
That was a bizarre one, wasn't it? Just run into this again, David. So what was the actual... It was Harry Small, wasn't it? H Small on Twitter.
I think what he was saying was navigate to Oxford by train. Wasn't it like that?
And it was giving cinema listings. Which,
yes,
you know, maybe he wanted to go to the cinema. Maybe Siri knew.
And then I tried it with London, so navigate to London by train, and it was absolutely fine. I tried it with a couple of other cities too, no problem. Then I tried it to Oxford, and it did exactly the same thing. It was recommending local cinemas. I'm thinking that's really, really weird. And apparently, it works for some other cities too, or it doesn't work rather for some other cities. Lincoln, Edinburgh, and it got me thinking. I had a bit of a Google earlier on today, just thinking about this because it got me intrigued. Only had a couple of minutes, but it did occur to me that Lincoln and Oxford are the name of cars, and I'm wondering if this is some clever Siri integration that's going a little bit wrong, where it thinks that rather than Oxford or Lincoln the place.
That's a good theory, yeah.
I didn't have time to look into it any further.
But why cinema results? That's the strange thing.
I don't know. I don't know.
Is there a place in England called Astra or Escort? We should find that out.
And then, literally minutes ago, before we started recording, Mike Whitcomb, he said, "Tell Jeff that the smart battery case is brilliant."
You say that I'm having trouble with my smart battery case.
Well, I've noticed you've not been using yours.
And just sort of walked away.
You've been using a pastel case.
How did you know? How do you know that? How do you know what I've been using?
Because I saw you a couple of weeks ago. We went to Costa, remember?
We did have a Costa.
The best Costa in London.
I carry around my smart battery case in my bag, and then if I can see I'm not going to make it through the day, I then slip it on.
Is that a weight issue? Is that...
Well, you know, yeah, just the aesthetics. I like my alternative case. So depends what mood I'm in when I wake up. I'm like, yeah, we'll just see how the mood takes me.
So I had an incident with my smart battery case.
What did you do, Will? What did you do?
I took my phone out to charge it, and I saw a very small tear in the case.
Right.
So you know where... The way it works is you fold down the top, and then you then slide the phone out, which means that the top third of the case is flexible to allow the phone to slide out, and the bottom 2/3 is solid. And it was on that hinge that it split.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no. And it hadn't fully torn off, but I could tell it was going to get worse. So off I went to the Apple store, had my kids with me. It was the first Sunday after the new iPhones were out, so it was nice and quiet. Great quiet time to be in an Apple store. But amazingly, found a little table with some iPads on it and kid-sized seats on it. They sat there playing iPad games while I waited around to get the right person. I had to go through about 3 different people.
As is the way in Apple, yeah.
Eventually got to the manager level, and he kind of said, it could have been torn, it could have been your fault. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, but I'll replace it. So I got a new one. They didn't give me no new warranty, so it's still warranted from January when I got it, but I did get a replacement case.
Will, you mentioned the fact that the new iPhone was out there and were on smart battery cases. So my question when they announced iPhone 7 is, will it work with the iPhone 6 battery case? And I went with my friends the other night quite randomly, and I was like, is that a jet black iPhone 7? And she had one, and I can confirm that whilst the iPhone 7 fits into the case of the iPhone 6, and it will charge it, because the camera on the back is in a different position, you can't take a photo with it. So there is a whole new battery case for iPhone 7 just because
it's also properly black. It's not charcoal like this one. It's fully black, and obviously it has no headphone.
Yeah. And I don't like the new taptic button on the iPhone 7.
Well, we're going to come to that. Save that.
Jumping ahead. Why have you gone out and sneakily bought an iPhone 7 and not told us?
I haven't.
Is that what you've done?
I haven't yet.
Are you sure? I'm pointing my finger of suspicion at you.
But the one thing I'm not sure about on this new battery case is the bottom chin that it has at the bottom. So it extends beyond the bottom of the phone where the embedded lightning connector is. It seems smaller on this one. And I don't know whether I'm just misremembering my old one, but this definitely seems slimmer. I've weighed it, still 245 grams with phone in, so maybe I'm just not remembering it right. But it feels different. Now, I know it wears down, but this one just feels more resilient to wearing. So it'd be interesting to look at in 6 months to see if it's as worn as my old one, because it had gone quite shiny.
There are very few people I know who would weigh their Apple smart iPhone case, Will, but you are certainly one of them.
Well, I thought that would be an obvious indicator that it was slimmer would be if it weighed less,
David,
but 245 grams.
Did you weigh the original one?
I did.
Will's probably got a list with the weight of all his iPhones he's ever owned in his life. It's in a spreadsheet somewhere.
No, it's not in a spreadsheet. It's in a plain text.
This is purely my interest to know whether an iPhone with battery case weighed more than a Plus. And it does. David, sunset on sunrise finally.
Yes, it has. I've had to uninstall it from my devices, and I'm really not happy with Google Calendar. At least the app on my phones just doesn't do it for me. Doesn't give me the view that I want. So
you haven't found a solution yet?
No, I haven't found a solution. Not found one. And you know, I was watching the last Frackulous episode where I was trying to explain it, and I couldn't understand why you didn't understand what the big deal about sunrise was. But then listening back, I kind of get it. And the thing is, sunrise works across different platforms. It works on a desktop in a web browser. It works on iOS. It works on Android. It brings together any flavour of calendar that I've got, and I've got lots of different calendars from different providers. It can also pop in special events. So when my football team, Leicester City, are playing, as they're doing right now in the Champions League, I know about that. So all of that stuff in one place was great. Microsoft has taken over Sunrise, and it has got a Sunrise kind of mini app in the Outlook app, but that doesn't work on the web browser. So I'm looking for a good calendar app that works in a web browser that brings together all of my different calendars into a place and doesn't look
bleep that out, Will. Do the blah, blah, blah noise.
It's going to be quite a long bleep. Sorry about that.
You may have to just settle with Google for now.
And doesn't look awful. That's all I need. It's not asking too much, but apparently it is.
Twitter follow-up. So there's now longer tweets. So you can now...
Is it enabled? Have they enabled it?
Slightly longer. So what I think it is at replies, if they start a tweet, are no longer included in the count, and any links also don't count against your 140 character quota. But
I can give you the official line on this.
Okay, go ahead, David.
I have it here, and I've got the tweet from Twitter that you can put in the show notes if you like. Photos, videos, GIFs, polls, and quote tweets do not eat into your 140 character limit. And that's photos and videos that you've uploaded directly to Twitter, not that you've kind of co-opted from another provider. Usernames do not count
So the challenge is here. Surely, can we do a tweet that is like like about 10 people and a photo and a video and a poll? What's the biggest tweet you can do that isn't?
No.
That isn't.
Usernames still count in that 140 character limit. Only a quoted tweet does not count. So if you quote my tweet,
I thought if you started with an @name, then that didn't count. But if you used an @name further down in the body of the tweet, then it would count.
let's do a quick test on that, people. Let's do a quick test because I've got Twitter open just here.
Yeah, I haven't actually been using Twitter since my detox. I'm like, Twitter? What's that? But we'll get to that. We're going to get to my detox in a minute.
We will follow up on that as well, Jeff.
I've typed @WillHead into Twitter via the web, and that's taken me down to 130 characters.
Okay.
But if
maybe
I
it's
quote
at
a
replying.
tweet,
Maybe it's replying rather than starting.
my @reply to BBC Radio Leicester Sport is taking me to 128.
Okay.
So @replying also eats into 140. According to Twitter, it's just a quote tweet that leaves you with your full 140. They are talking about the @mentions that is basically what we're on about, being enabled later on this year and being gradually rolled out. But that's not part of the first tranche of these changes.
But one thing I noticed it broke Tweetbot for a couple of days, and Tweetbot was doing this weird embedded that it was just linking rather than showing the tweet, which is obviously some backwards compatibility option. But it's been fixed now. But Tweetbot still doesn't support polls, so I'm guessing that's not been opened up to anybody else.
Do you know what? I used to use Tweetbot as my Twitter client of choice on iOS all the time, but I don't use it very often anymore, and I think that's down to the fact, no, I don't. Only if I'm checking my lists, because the official Twitter app does not do lists well.
Well, it does, but they're really hidden. You have to go into your profile.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to go onto the icon, and then you have to bring up settings, and then you bring up lists, and then you bring up your... Yeah, it's really buried.
I think Twitter's doing itself a real disservice by burying away access to lists like that, because it's a great way of managing your followers and getting more value from the product.
So what do you use, David, on your phone? What do you use?
I have been using the official Twitter client, but I've been following the timeline. And when I do want to check upon a particular subset of people, then I will fire up Tweetbot. It's still on my front page, but I just don't open it as often.
I don't open the official Twitter app unless I do it by mistake, usually. Or Tweetbot doesn't support a feature. But the thing I don't like about polls is there's nothing within Tweetbot to say there is a poll here. If you went to the official app, you'd at least see it. They're not even able to indicate that you're missing a poll. So I never take part in polls.
Will, talk to me.
We could do an app update if you want, Jeff.
So I think last time you were on 363, was it?
No, I was last time, I'll just check my notes, I was on 352.
I think you've gone to 359.
359. David, are you still there?
I'm going to go for 365.
365 and 359. Well, let's have a look. General, about. 359!
Oh, well done. I would be seriously worried about Jeff's access to your phone if I were you, Will. This is been scarily accurate for the last couple of times.
This episode of Frackulous is brought to you by Audible.com, the premier provider of audiobooks. With over 180,000 titles to choose from, humans like to listen to things. If you're a human, you're probably listening to this podcast right now. Audiobooks on Audible are read by real live humans, often the same ones that wrote all of the words as well. Not only are you hearing the words written by the human, but you get to experience them exactly as they intended. Humans love listening to other humans. It is one of their favorite things to do, unlike Risk, which is good, because Audible is completely risk-free. If you don't like the sounds or words you're hearing, for any reason, you can exchange it for another without asking any questions. To start your free 30-day trial of Audible, which includes a free audiobook download, go to frackulous.com/audible, so that they know that we sent you and to show your support for the show.
How do you know that Leicester are winning 1-0? Surely you're not surely you're not following the football at the same time like I am.
I may have sneakily checked my phone just now.
We've got a lot to cover, so I think we should probably move on.
How are Spurs doing?
Should we watch the football or should we do iPhone 7?
Oh, stop it. There's always one person who doesn't like the football. In fact, I'm pretty sure. In fact, I know one or two other listeners and watchers are viewers are Leicester City fans as well. So,
well, they can go to a Leicester City podcast and get all the action.
We want to have something for everyone on this podcast, Will. Something for everyone.
So iPhone
maybe
7.
Maybe we should do a football podcast. I bet there aren't any of those out there. Maybe that could be a brand new thing we do.
It could be a niche.
Certainly not.
iPhone 7.
Oh, iPhone 7 Schmeven.
What do you think, Jeff?
Well, it's more iOS 10.
Well, we're going to do iOS 10 as well, but we could do them together. We could do them separately.
So I had to go my friend 7. It's a little bit faster. It's a little bit slicker. I don't like the new home button.
Was it the jet black one?
The jet black. Yeah, it looked good. You could tell it was a bit faster than my 6. I did the thing, where you line the two up side by side and you start apps together, and you could see that it was a little bit faster. I did all that. But the home button is weird, man. And there's a thing under general settings, general accessibility. There's a toggle where you can turn, because they've changed the default behavior for when do you press your thumb or do you hold it and not press it.
Oh yeah,
that's now changed.
So are you
slightly weird?
Are you iOS 10ing on your 6 currently?
Am I?
No,
I am.
Oh right, I am refusing to install 10 on my 6.
And why is that, Jeff?
Oh.
Is it because of slide to unlock? You're missing slide to unlock.
Are you giving over the next 5 minutes of the podcast to let me rant like an old man? Okay.
Thoughts on iOS 10, Jeff?
If Steve Jobs was still alive, he would have not have put out iOS 10, right?
And why is that?
Messaging is embarrassing, right? This whole stickers, fireworks, it is a mess, right? You had a perfectly functional messaging app, and to appeal to the kids, they've thought, let's bolt on all this stuff. And it is haphazardly done.
You don't have to use any of this.
It is all a gimmick. You do it for 5 minutes, you go, that is fun, and then you never actually think, I'll need that in an actual real life situation.
Jeff, I'm going to interrupt you. And Will's going to interrupt you as well.
And embarrassing. And it is. And to add a sticker the other day, I had to tap, slide, add. I counted. It was 7 taps to add something.
But how are you adding stickers if you're not on iOS 10?
That is rubbish. I should not have to tap 7 times to add one thing. That is. But
you just said
it. You know it. And
if you don't like all of these stickers and this confetti and the fireworks, then don't bloody use them. If you don't like sending
a sticker,
then why
are they adding it on?
Then you don't have
to. Apple aren't innovating anything anymore. Somebody told me what it was. They went, they've mimicked this so-and-so app. Apple are playing catch-up, and they've bolted on a functionality of another app that they thought, we should get into our core iOS so that people still buy our phones, and they've squeezed it in a really kludgy way. I think
that's what I said yesterday. I agree. But my point is that the core messaging app still works the same as it always did. You don't have to send stickers if you don't want to.
I've got 2 points.
Send stickers. I'm never going to send invisible effects in text. I'm never going to do fireworks. But I'm never going to use the iMessage store. What? How embarrassing is that? There's a store for messaging. No, it is.
I downloaded Mario. I downloaded some stickers.
It is gimmicky shit. It is shit. And they should be fixing other things that people want fixing, like, say, iTunes Match artwork, and actual problems that have been reported for years, rather than just bolting on shit that only a minority are going to use, and it makes me angry.
I think there are 2 points here, Jeff. One, stickers is more of an evolution of emoji, and there is an upward use of emoji in the current world, and I think it does add something to the way you communicate. Because text is very, very straight and is very open to misinterpretation. So I think anything that can help with that... But
they haven't done it cleanly. They haven't done it cleanly because they've bolted it on. If Apple had invented stickers and drawing heartbeats from scratch, they would have done it in a much more sensible fashion. It feels like they've gone, how do we bolt this on to our existing app?
I think it's quite easy. You press a button for keyboard, you press a button for apps, you press a button for...
It's horrible. It's messy.
And then moving on to the App Store for messaging, there are obviously the stickers, which are kind of the main thing you'll see initially, but there are other ones. So there are things like there are shared to-do lists that you can do between 2 people. I think that's a great app that's built on top of messaging. I think there are many, many interesting things that people will do, and we're very early on with this. I think you have to open it up and allow developers to find the useful things that can be done on a platform like this.
But what it has done, it started this fun inadvertent game, because if you send a message from an iOS 10 device to an iOS 9 device, obviously the iOS 9 device can't display the fireworks or whatever it is. So you get an additional message, a line below, saying brackets, sent with fireworks. So this or whatever, sent with a heartbeat. So this instantly started.
You got my
a fun
sticker
game
so earlier today, Jeff, didn't you?
I did, yeah, but I got it on. Yeah, but it's just that it started a fun game where you just then manually type in brackets sent with a big pile of dog poo brackets. So you just make up your own fun things that it could be sent with. I've had more fun doing that than actually sending stickers or invisible text or anything.
Well, I can't get fireworks because I've got
nonsense.
reduced motion on, which means I don't see them. And I don't even get a warning to say that I don't see them.
Apple should be inventing and innovating, not bolting on crap which other people have already invented. There we go. You can use that as a quote in the Twitter for the podcast.
So the new unlock, I'm on iOS 10. You said you didn't like it. And there is a way of turning it off. I haven't turned it off yet.
What? How? What? Reveal all. How do you do it?
So now you press once to unlock, and you unlock the lock screen, as it were, and then you press the home button to go into the phone. There is an accessibility setting to just use your thumb, which is what I used to do anyway.
But you still can't slide to unlock. They've taken away slide to unlock, right?
But that's because Slide now brings in all of these rich notifications that you can interact with.
Which looks like a mess. It's a mess.
It's going to take a while to settle down.
iOS 10 is a backward step on iOS 9.
Well, my main experience of it is that if you have 3D touch, it enables far more. So I don't know what happens if you don't have 3D touch.
Okay.
Because there are things like
3D touch, yeah.
Control Center. Now, if you 3D touch on the flashlight, you can get 3 levels of flashlight. You can have high, medium, or low. But I don't know how you activate that on a non-3D touch device.
I've never seen that before on my. I've got an iPhone 6
I've never
Plus.
seen that.
And I found that now any notification, if I want to do a quick reply, I have to 3D touch it on the screen. So I don't know. Again, I don't know what happens if you're not 3D touch enabled. I mean, my kind of overall thoughts on it are it enables me to do way more from that notification screen or control center. But it's slower to get to some things. So Control Center is now split across 3 screens. And so if the thing I want is on the one that I flick up, great. If not, I've got to go across a couple of screens to get to where I need to be. How about you, David? How are you finding iOS 10?
Well, I was on the beta on my old iPhone 5 for iOS 10, and I thought it was all right. You don't really get a true feel for these things until you put them onto your daily driver phone. Some of the things are better. Some of the things are taking a little bit of getting used to. I'm not going to lie. I mean, the messages thing that doesn't really rankle with me, to be honest with you, because I don't tend to use iMessage all that much anyway. I will use probably WhatsApp more than I will iMessage. I've had a play. And there's certain novelty value there, and maybe the novelty hasn't worn off. I certainly have not been rankled to my very boots like Mr. Marshall has about messaging. It's like, if you don't like that stuff, don't use it. Simple as. Move on.
It is a novelty. It's a novelty that wears off quickly. But maybe because I'm not 14.
You look at some other apps, you look at other markets, look at where Line is outside of Europe and Americas. That's huge, and buying and selling stickers is a huge part of that. It's actually quite a big money spinner as well, which does lead me to think, whether where this goes next.
Oh, is that the app that they copied? That's the app they've copied. They've seen Lime. That's it. That's the app that someone mentioned. They've seen Lime, and they've basically tried to emulate that within iMessage, right?
But then I think Will's right. We do have emoji. We are using richer messaging. We're not just in the same place where we have to send emoticons with some curly brackets and a semicolon. If you want to put some posh stuff into your messages, then you can. Will you hate anyone who sends you an iMessage that has got the slightest hint of confetti in it now?
Yeah, Will
be careful how you answer.
Will sent me a dog earlier, and I went, what the f*** is that? It's like, that's just really... I
slightly sent it just to wind you up, Jeff.
Oh, surely not. I didn't get it. Oh, well, okay, right, okay.
How about lack of headphone jack on the S7. Would that be an issue for you? We're going to cover headphones in the next section anyway.
No, I don't see what the fuss is there. Just get an adapter, like move on, get over it.
An adapter like this.
People are saying, "Oh, you can't charge your phone and listen at the same time." I can't ever remember a time I've charged and listened to my phone at the same time.
There is one. The only time I'd want to do that is if I'm listening to podcasts at night, and then I don't want to have because I usually fall asleep listening to the podcast, and I don't want to have to wake up and plug my phone in. But there is Belkin has released an adapter with 2 Lightning ports in it that allows you to charge and headphone at the same time. So it is possible. It's quite expensive though, with 30 odd quid.
Anyway, I want to see if I can hold out and not update to iOS 10 at all for a whole 12 months, and then next year when the new iPhone comes out, then I'll do. So every Frackulous now, you should check to see whether I've gone to iOS 10 or not on my phone.
What makes you think that iOS 11 will be any better, as far as you're concerned, than iOS 10? Surely it's just going to carry on going down this route. If it's a new revenue stream, albeit quite a small one for Apple, they're not going to stop just because they've heard Jeff Marshall ranting on the Frackulous podcast.
They might.
My last point on iOS 10, and this may just be purely, entirely coincidental, but I have used Bluetooth for a good 18 months, and I've had very few problems with it. And I am literally thinking the last week I've had more dropouts and failures to connect.
Oh, really?
With my regular Bluetooth headphones, and it surely can't be that when they release a phone that's designed for wireless use, you don't degrade the performance of Bluetooth, surely. Regular
I haven't
Bluetooth.
Heard about this. It
could be purely coincidental, but I've had terrible problems. Once I rebooted my phone, it kind of settled a few of them, but I was having times where it was dropping in and out, and it just would not connect. David, WatchOS 3.
Oh, thank goodness for that.
Jeff, you don't have a watch, so you can stay on 9 and not miss the WatchOS 3 update.
I was more excited when iOS 10 came along to download WatchOS 3. And WatchOS 3 wasn't part of any public beta program, so like most other people, I was experiencing it for the first time when iOS 10 dropped finally. And I have to say,
have you found it?
It's a lot better. Oh, hang on a minute. Hold it there. Mark Settle, my friend from the BBC, ex-College of Journalism, has said, David, a good option for now is Skitch, Skitch, which I do have on here. Okay. Of course. But that apparently isn't long for the App Store as well. So if I were you,
I'll go and get it now.
Listen to my friend Mark and download Skitch.
Excellent.
Go for it.
It's another app for you to download, Will. Go.
Excellent. I love a new app.
Come back to WatchOS 3. As you know, I was a big critic of the first 2 WatchOSs and of the Apple Watch in general, really. It was kind of a tantalising device, but just didn't quite work. Mm-hmm. It's much better. I love how the button has changed to be... Oh, and that was 44 minutes from when I texted Mark, or when I messaged Mark.
Good work.
To him replying. Not bad. The tray that comes up now with my list of preloaded apps, the dock, that's it. That just works so much better. I never used to use the.
I'm not sold on it yet.
Why not?
My pure use case of my watch is I use it as a remote control for listening to podcasts. So I was so used to having the glance, the now playing glance, always to be the one that I swiped up to get to, and then I could instantly use the crown to change the volume, hit the sender to pause. Now, once I press the button, I then have to press on the screen just to bring, even if the now playing app is there on that one.
Yeah.
So if it's there, I still have to press once, and then I can then use the crown for the volume or press to pause. If something else has happened in between, so say if I'm using the navigation feature, the maps will overtake the dock. So even though I used the now playing last to start a podcast and then started navigation on my phone, if I press the dock button, it will then bring up the navigation. So I've then got to scroll across. And getting from one end of that list to the other is quite slow. But I did discover somebody tweeted something about rubbing your finger along the dots. If you run along the white dots rather than the apps, it will go much faster. So that is quite good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that does work, actually.
Yep.
Good work.
That's a good way of skipping through them. I mean, overall, my feelings on WatchOS 3 are a bit like my feelings on iOS 10. That I can do more, which is welcome, but it's slower for me to get to, and that's the trade-off. So, for example, I can now change watch faces by swiping left and right, which is great, but again, that is quite slow to get from one end to the other. But they've left in the old press down option, and you can then spin through them quite quickly.
But to counter that, I can get to the apps that I want a lot faster as well by having them in the dock. And I don't know how true it is, but they do seem to load up a lot faster as well.
I'm not finding much speed. I'm finding they show more quickly, but
yes,
they're not usable.
I think there's some psychology in that.
And I think it's going to take proper WatchOS 3 aware apps for that to change. Have you noticed any changes in battery life, David, since you've...
I don't wear my watch at night. I mean, right now it's 20 to 10. I've been up since 6 o'clock or something. I'm on 17%. So certainly my battery life, on the evidence of that and some other evenings as well, it has suffered. My wife has got the smaller Apple Watch. She's got the 38mm one. And she's having real problems with her battery life. It's been on my jobs list to go and have a look at that and maybe just to reset it and resync it. But she's not making it to the end of the day at the moment.
I'll tell you what I like now. Here's a great feature in the Watch app, is you can now look down your list of apps and it will tell you which ones are installed. Because previously you had the long list of apps, but you didn't know which ones you'd actually installed on your watch. Whereas now in that list view, it now tells you installed. So I've now gone through and taken off a lot of the apps I don't use.
I think it's a definite move forward. I'm pleased that as an Apple Watch Series 0 owner that are not being frozen out or penalised in some way and forced to upgrade. So I mean, overall, I think it's gone pretty well.
I found the battery life on my first day, I woke up with 10% battery. And I was like, this isn't going to be good. Because I then didn't have enough time in the morning to recharge it to full. But I found subsequent nights, it's actually been fine. I've been waking up with 35% battery. So that's good enough. That I can recharge that in an hour and a half in the morning, and that's fine. So apart from that first day, when I had a crash, it totally crashed on me, and lost GPS.
I haven't had a crash yet.
So it basically locked up. It was sending me the wrong way because the GPS had stopped communicating with either the phone had stopped communicating with the GPS or with the watch, and then it just totally crashed. So it's that was first day. I was like, oh, this isn't great. But now since then, it's actually been pretty stable and pretty solid.
Just 1 second. Have we done a Frackulous since the announcement?
No, this is it.
This is it.
We were day before announcement, so this is our.
Can I mention my highlights video in some cheeky way?
Hey David, why don't you mention your highlights video?
Did you see my highlights video?
Yeah, that was a great highlights video, David. We should link that in the show notes.
You should totally should. That half killed me making that again, although I had some technical problems this time, but some good lessons learnt. But yes, all of the 2 hours of that Apple announcement boiled down.
How did you feel, David, watching it? Obviously, it was an emotional night for you anyway because you were working quite hard. But seeing a new phone and a new watch, 2 new replacements to 2 things you'd recently broke.
Okay, I see where you're going there, given that I'd replaced...
Well, you knew the phone was coming anyway, didn't you? But the watch...
Oh, yeah, we always knew the phone
was coming. We didn't know the watch was coming.
It was a pretty good bet. The watch would be coming as well. So I tried not to let the pain get to me too much. And would I want to upgrade to a 7 anyway? You know, am I likely to be paying for a 7 Plus is what it would be? No, I don't think so. And
actually, everything's gone up in price. Have you seen this? I noticed this when I got my smart battery case replaced, that the sticker on the back now said it was 100 quid. And it used to be 80. And that is a huge jump. Sports bands for the watch are now 50 quid each. and they used to be £39. So actually, no, they're now £49. But mentally, I'd thought 39, that's about 30 quid. 49 to me is 50 quid.
How much of that is currency fluctuation and stuff?
It's currency fluctuations, it's things like that. But it just seems, everything just suddenly seems way more expensive in the UK.
Am I going to get the watch? No. I'm not going to get the watch. It's the same as the one I've got right now. Admittedly, I'm not going to go swimming in this one.
Probably not.
Shit happens, but there's no real compelling pull. The GPS thing I always run with my phone anyway if I do go running, and the waterproof, water resistance. There's not enough yet.
Yeah. No. Next year. Next year's the big year where loads of things will happen. The iPhone 7 is like, iOS 10 is clearly giving bollocks next year if Apple don't pull something out the bag.
If you were, just to wrap this section up, if you were buying this year, what would you buy? What would you go for? Now there's no 16 gig option, Jeff.
Oh, then I get the 32, yeah.
You get the 32 and the colour?
I do. Oh, no, I'm not a fan of black phones. I've always liked the sort of silvery white gold ones.
So which one?
Not. I don't know. What colours are there? Gold?
There's gold, rose gold, there's black, and there's jet black.
I'd probably get rose gold just to be a little bit different. Yeah.
Rose gold. You can't actually see it because it's in a case, but rose gold. David, what would you go for in your fantasy phone shopping and maybe watch shopping?
Well, I always go for the full fat, so I go for the 6 Plus 256 gig. You mentioned they got rid of the 16 gig. Now they've upped the top end capacity to 256, which I think they only had on the iPhone, on the iPad Pro, and maybe some higher end iPad Airs, I think. And I go for the Apple Watch 2. I still go for the Sport edition of the Apple Watch 2. Although the ceramic, I haven't seen or had hands on with a ceramic Apple Watch yet. That's interesting. 4 or 5 times stronger than steel, if I remember from the presser.
I think if I was going to go for anything, I would go for the jet black, just clearly because I'm a ponce and I need to have the thing that's different visually. But I may stick at 128 gig, even though I've always gone for the highest. I think partly because of the price increases, and also I'm suddenly thinking 256 gig is a lot to keep backed up. It's a lot to manage. Maybe I need to start getting my photos into iCloud Photo Library. And
that's a fair point.
Watch, I would probably go for the Sport, but I'd probably go for the Nike one because you get the extra face, you get the crazy band, but then you can also then just put your normal band on it. And since I've got 2 bands anyway, I'd probably keep those bands for kind of normal look and the crazy Nike one for running.
End of Frackulous. If your puny human minds can handle more, then follow on Twitter. @FRACKULOUS or individually @David McClelland DAVIDMCCLELLAND @JeffTech GEOFFTECH @Will Head WILLHEAD. Email your brains to hello@frackulous.com. Guess who's back? Back again. Guess who's back? Tell a friend. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back?
Shorter is better, Will. Shorter. Not smaller, shorter. I just think all podcasts should be less than an hour long. It's like the magic commuting time. When you commute to work, if you're a commuter in London, anything over an hour feels wrong. And I think the same is with a podcast.
I don't know. I think
over an hour.
I think we should probably cover this separately in a different episode. But my personal consumption of podcasts is purely as an on-demand medium, and I have a queue. And I stop it and start it. Sometimes I'll do 5 minutes, sometimes I'll do half an hour, sometimes I'll do 2 hours. Yep. So to me, I don't actually care how long the individual podcasts are.
Because you dip in and dip out.
Yeah. Like I think
it also helps if the podcasts are logically chunked up as well. I know certain longer podcasts that I listen to, they've got a little break every 15 minutes, 10, 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think you'll find a lot of people, do a podcast on their commute or on their cycle or or whilst they go running. So like a podcast that's just under an hour is perfect if you go running for an hour because you just run until the podcast ends.
Or go walking your dog.
Woof.
Hello, dog walkers. Nice to hear from you. You know who you are.
We're getting dogs longer walks here, Jeff. The dogs are happy. They get an hour and a half walk.
Don't do this because I'll just start making dog puns like, well, they must be barking mad. And you don't want to set me down that path. And otherwise, you guys won't say anything, and there'll just be a dreadfully long pause. Pause!
I just got it.
Right, hold it there, guys. I've just got a little bit of a battery issue. I don't know what's...
Okay.
Will, what can you slack me what stand I need for my Rode mic then, please?
Yes, I will slack it to you. It's just a standard...
I need some kind of...
I
need some kind of...
Oh, yeah.
Like a stand that's a clamp or something.
Probably David's arm, I would have thought, actually.
Yeah, I need an arm.
PSA 1.
Do you mean David's actual arm?
Yeah, just get David's arm to hold the mic for you.
David, I only need your arm when I'm recording stuff, and that's really Wednesday evenings and Sunday evenings. So if you could pop round then, that'd be great. Oh, shit.
It's all right.
Will, you have to use that as like a funny outtake at the end.
That's assuming David is still recording.
No, we're still recording there. Hang on, it's interesting getting used to new kit, isn't it? When you're finding that stuff isn't quite lasting the amount of time that you thought it would. But then I guess we did spend quite a long time preambling beforehand. I've got one more. You carry on chatting amongst yourselves. I'm going to scrabble away madly, just trying to sort out my new setup.
All right.
General updates. Do you want to do some highlights of that, Jeff?
Yes.
I got Canva, because it apparently works with some new aspect of iOS 10. I don't know what, because I haven't started it yet. The Home app.
Sorry, can I just point out to everyone listening to the podcast that at this point, Will has muted David's channel, but we can hear the live clunking and thumping and bumping around that's going on. And it's really disorientating and off-putting. It's like, David, what the bleep are you doing? Seriously.
Right, okay. I don't want to spill... I don't want to spoil Will's thunder here, but
no, it's fine.
As some eagle-eyed viewers will have noticed, in the last Frackulous, I said, yeah, this might all be horrifically out of focus. And it was. Thank you to all of those, including you, Ian Morris, for pointing that out. It was definitely amateur hour here. I was aware that things might go a little bit wrong. I've got one of these. This is a field monitor recorder, a Blackmagic Video Assist 5-inch jobby, and it's very, very good. But despite having 2 full batteries on there, it's just run out of juice, despite me having it running for ages yesterday. So I'm trying to plug it in so I can make sure that I'm in focus. Trust me, this is in everyone's interest. Be right back.
I've downloaded one app since last time. Do you want to know what my one app I downloaded was?
What was the app you downloaded, Jeff?
I finally got around to downloading Adobe Premiere Clip.
Oh, is that any good?
But it doesn't do what I want it to do.
What did you want it to do?
Find an app. I want to be able to edit multiple clips from different videos into one video, and it doesn't appear to let you do that.
What does it let you do?
It appears to let you use one pre-recorded clip or record a clip and then just edit that, but I can't take multiple videos and edit it into one video.
Right.
Which to me is the basic requirement of a video editing.
Maybe you need Adobe Premiere Mix and Adobe Premiere Fix.
Oh, why do they? Why have one app?
They don't.
Have
they don't
16?
really exist, but they probably will do soon.
Are you back, David?
I am back, and I was just loading up my videography page on my iPhone just to run through some video editing apps that you might find useful.
I need a video app where I can insert a still image and then pull in 3 or 4 different clips and then output it all as one video file, or just upload directly to YouTube from my phone.
Well, so what's wrong with iMovie for your purposes?
Yeah,
it's very good.
Okay, I'll use that then because it's the comes with the phone app, and so I just thought by getting a third party app, surely there'd be more features there.
So yeah, I mean, I would say that it is very good. But if you want a simpler app, there's an app called Clips, CLIPS, Not Clip, Adobe Clip, but Clips. Very simple, actually really powerful. It's a bit faster. I would say the workflow is a little bit faster than iMovie, but it's still very good.
Okay, I'll check it out.
So just quickly, other apps. Pantone Studio, recommended by Mike Whitcomb again.
Oh yeah.
That's great fun.
I saw
you can pick out some colours. Great fun.
Can you basically take a photo of something, touch the screen, and it tells you what the RGB value is?
It tells you the Pantone. Obviously. I also downloaded Allo, Google's chatting app, because a friend of mine said, "Chat to me on Allo," so we had a chat. And David, have you used Allo yet?
No. I haven't said hello to hello yet.
I mean, it's on the face of it standard chat app.
But you have said bye-bye to Siri. Sorry, putting that in there.
But it suggests things you can say, so you can actually have a conversation just by pressing buttons on a screen. It automates the chatting for you. And that's where we are in 2016 with having to converse with our friends. But it then ends up going round in a circle and comes back to, how was your weekend?
Oh!
You okay, Jeff?
I'm having a David moment.
Oh my lord.
Wow, sounds pretty messy.
Was that just your iPad or was it your camera as well?
Hang on, we're okay.
He's back in the room.
Are we still there?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Phew.
Is everything all right?
Get an extra bit of sticky tape.
Yeah, maybe do that.